we're both walk-ons, and we earned a scholarship in our last year, which was really cool, because those times where you have like a goal in the back of your mind, but you're like, you know what, maybe that's just not the path that
Mhm.
is healthy, and that's totally fine, and you kind of make peace with it, and then boom, it just happens.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to today's episode on Flipping Out with Bridget Sloan. I am your host, Bridget Sloan, and this is a podcast where you are going to be hearing from the amazing guests that I have lined up for you, whether that is a coach, an athlete, a fellow ESPN analyst, or really anybody who wants to come on here and share their story. Those stories will be anything from the success and failure and everything in between. And today's guest, she is a 2018 NCAA national champion. She is a UCLA alum and she is a Pac 12 analyst. Please give it up for Miss JaNay Honest. Well, JaNay, thank you so much for joining and welcome to the Flipping Out podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited
Of
to be here.
course, you're a star. You're a star. So, okay, for those of you who don't know, JaNay Honest is pretty much a baller in the gymnastics community. She's a UCLA alum. No bragging there, but I did learn the 8 clap a couple years back and yep, that's right. I know the 8 clap.
I love
I
that.
was about to do it and I was like, the people definitely don't need to hear me just clap. But
That is
you
Oh my gosh, I love it. I definitely don't know Florida's thing besides the
I mean,
gator.
it's just a gator chomp. That's
Oh,
fine.
that's it?
That's fine.
No A
Yeah,
clap? Okay.
that's fine.
A
There's no special clap or anything, but the gator chomp definitely works. But not only are you just a fantastic gymnast, but you're also an analyst for the Pac-12 network. You do dancing on the side. You do so many amazing things. But before we get into all of your amazingness that you're doing right now, I've never heard how you got started in gymnastics.
Yeah, so I started right before I turned 6, and I
Ooh.
was the kid that was always on the monkey bars in, like, preschool and kindergarten, and I would do, like, not normal things, like, you know how you can hang upside down from your knees? I would hook my feet and hang upside down, and so, the teachers caught on to that, and they told my parents, they said, "You should get her in gymnastics classes. She just not only does she have a lot of energy, she's not just like she's got something extra that we need to see this through." Um, and so my parents enrolled me in gymnastics classes, and it really was like the best playground ever. And I started progressing relatively quickly. I wasn't really scared to do any skills, and so I think I skipped. I don't know what the levels are like now, but there was level 2 in back in our day. So I don't know if there's level 2
True.
anymore. But I started level 2, and then we skipped level 4, skipped level 6. And so but yeah, like that's kind of how I got started, and I just fell in love with it. And when you're a gymnast, gymnastics was really the only sport that I did, and I did dance when I could, because again, I think, or at least my club gym, we had a whole dance studio where we would do recitals every summer. I don't know if did your club gym do that? I don't know if that was like a
Oh my
normal.
gosh. No.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I thought this was a normal thing that happened in like the early 2000s.
Mhm.
So, but okay, I guess not. So yeah, so we would at my club gym we would have a whole dance rotation. Like we had a dance teacher, a dance
Oh my
rotation, whether
gosh.
and it wasn't just technical stuff. We were learning dances. We would have like Christmas extravaganzas, but every summer we would have like a full recital. Um at our gym, and like obviously we had a dance team, but like we would all learn dances and like go to the theater downtown in Visalia and like do this whole recital. So I think that's kind of how like I started gym and dance at the same time. Obviously, we know with gymnastics we have to commit majority of our time to the sport. Like we can't really do much else, but I loved dance so much that my mom would, take me to other dance studios because your girl's form was not that great. Like just technique wasn't the best, but I would just throw skills, and the coaches love when the gymnasts just throw skills. And but it mattered how they looked. But it's fine. We figured it out once we got to UCLA. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got started in the sport. And then, we did the whole like, ooh, Olympics ain't happening. How about college? So by the time I was 12, or maybe like a little bit before I started watching college gymnastics, I remember like loving watching Georgia and UCLA. This is when Courtney Coupettes was competing at Georgia, and they were, oh, like I remember all the floor routines and just, so I would really pay attention to SEC, and I think it was still Pac-10 at the time. I don't think Utah
Mhm.
and I don't know that whatever other school joined to make it Pac-12. So I would really watch, Pac-10 and SEC. But I remember just being very drawn to Georgia and UCLA. And then when I was 12, I went to my first like summer camp at UCLA and was just sold. I was like, the food is so good. Have you been to the dining halls? And like, and I got to meet the girls, and it was still in California because I'm born and raised in California. So I didn't really like the idea of flying back and forth for holidays. I wanted to be able to drive. I was very excited to leave home, but I at least wanted to have that easier
Mhm.
access. And yeah, it was just the best time. I got to meet the girls, I got to meet the coaches, and the campus was beautiful. I love the LA area. And I got home and I was like, coaches, I'm gonna be a Bruin. I don't know if you know, but like this is my dream school. And yeah, I just remember it was my male coach at the time, and he looked at me and he said, "Oh, JaNay, you'll never be able to compete for UCLA." And I was 12. So granted,
What?
I was a level 8 at the time. And so I knew I had a lot of skills to learn, but he
Mhm.
gave me the whole spiel of, JaNay, they recruit elites and Olympians and and I'm like, oh. And I remember being taken aback, but just because I didn't expect to be immediately counted out. I think it's important for coaches to be realistic, but also like, okay, if this is your dream, like this is what you got to do. Like this is how hard you have to
Mhm.
work. This is the caliber of gymnastics that they're doing, rather than
Right.
just let's settle, let's go elsewhere. So yeah, and then I heard that for like the next 6 years until I left. And so I really just made it my personal mission to do everything in my power, and that I could, to give myself the best chance to go to UCLA. And so, I worked really hard on upgrading my skills and, honing in on my form. And, a coach came in that was really technical based. And granted, this wasn't until like my junior or senior year, but at least, you know, he helped hone in on those little things that would help me,
Mhm.
and I think honestly, and I always tell girls this, go visit the schools you want to go to, because that's going to be your home for the next 4 years. And do you want to live in that city? What do you want to study? Because um, there isn't a pro gymnastics career for us after. So,
Mhm.
what career do you want to pursue after you finish school? Because you're going there for an education, so what schools cater to what you want to do? Just all these things you got to think about. And I
Mhm.
always say, like, go to the summer camps. Like, that is the perfect way. Especially now with the rule changes, coaches like really can't talk to you, but like you can still
Mhm.
like camp vibe. You can still get like you can interact with them and see yourself there. So that's like I always tell a gymnast that, I say, guys, it works for me, because and honestly that's where I got my most of my um exposure, other than me emailing the coaches like every week with meet updates and stuff like that, and skill
Mhm.
up. So yeah, and then by the time I was a junior, when we're like kind of deciding, because this is when girls were committing early. Like by the time, honestly, I
Right.
like like
Mhm.
middle schoolers were, committed.
My
So
gosh.
it was, yeah. So and I was a late bloomer. Like I said, I was 12. And so I was still level 8. So, late bloomers, this was a stressful time because, yeah, like by the time we were at the level that colleges look at, like all the scholarships are gone. So I did weigh all my options, and I visited the schools that did offer me full scholarships, because, I didn't want to have tunnel vision. I had like my dream, but,
Mhm.
I kept options open. So it wasn't like, oh no, I'm going to UCLA and I'm
Right.
not gonna give the others a chance. But, I visited all the other schools that offered me full scholarships, but it just didn't give me the same feeling.
Mhm.
Some you connect with the school, or you visit a school and you're like, this is my home. And so once I decided that, I was like, okay, great. And they obviously didn't have any more. Great. What's the next step? So they so they didn't have any scholarships left in my year, but they did offer me a walk-on spot and I decided to take it. And I had the discussion with my parents, like everything was gonna be great. We were gonna like it was gonna work out and we were gonna be fine.
Mhm.
So and then yeah, I got there and I was just like, okay, JaNay, you're a walk-on. But Miss Val did a really good job of letting everyone know that it just like walk-ons are it's not like a football team, where there's like the walk
Right.
and like, where you have like such a big roster like gymnastics, we're all doing the same skills. And so
Mhm.
she made it really clear that it's an even level playing field. So everyone has a fair shot. And so that kind of relieved a little stress a little bit. But I was a really hard worker and just kind of had in the back of my mind, like, JaNay, you are a walk on. So like let's make it known that you're meant to be here and that you really want to
Mhm.
be. So we were like, yes, by the time I graduated, I started, driving to Chris Waller's gym at the time, like probably 3 or 4 times a week during the summer, which was 2 hours away. Like that's how dedicated I was to getting that better coaching to, just get my gymnastics leveled up a little bit before I got to campus in the summer. And yeah, the rest is history. I competed on everything but beam, which is hilarious because we met at Beam Queen Boot Camp, and I just love
Yes, we did.
I love being a part of the family when I did not touch that event. So like
That's okay.
yeah, and so yeah, my main event was bars, but on I think my freshman and junior year I competed on vault bars and floor. Um
Mhm.
and I became the Pac-12 uneven bars co-champion with Elizabeth Price, which was really cool. As a sophomore, and I remember them miking me up for whatever reason. I was like, "Why are you guys miking me up before the award ceremony? This is weird." And hearing my name called because again, technique wasn't great. Like I had to work really, really hard to get
Mhm.
my gymnastics to the level I knew it needed to be. So to stand up there with Elizabeth Price was just really, really cool. And I was like, wow, like just being there with her. And then yeah, and then by the senior my senior season in 2018, we won the national championship. Was a great way to it was a great way
Mhm.
to go out. I was a bar specialist at the time because injuries. The knee got really bad, and we had the conversation of, okay, JaNay, you're really integral on bars, so we need you. So how about we save your knee for those bar dismounts? And I just was like, okay, I know my role. And also what was really exciting before my senior year was earning a scholarship with my other teammate who was also a walk-on, Sonia Mraz. So we're both walk-ons and we earned a scholarship in our last year, which was really cool. Because those times where you have like a goal in the back of your mind, but you're like, you know what, maybe that's just not the path that
Mhm.
is going, and that's totally fine. And you kind of make peace with it, and then boom, it just happens. So that was also another really cool thing for them to one have scholarships available, but to offer them to us and just because we were seniors, we were like, we got new fresh meat coming in, like it's
Mhm.
probably but yeah, that was a really, really cool thing. So I would say those were the highlights. And I loved the coaching staff. I had a great relationship with all of them. Miss Val was like my second mom. And just the reason why I went to UCLA is because I knew it would not only enhance me as an athlete, but as a person as well.
Mhm.
Because she learned under John Wooden. So that's all about, personal development and the pyramid of success. And I will never forget going to the first camp and she had us bring a journal. And I was like, oh, I need to go here. Like, we're not just here to compete. Like she's out here
Mhm.
coaching people. So yeah, that's a little short story of my of my journey. Um, I mentioned I became a bar specialist. I had like a developed a knee bone condition, OCD. So I had like 3 surgeries throughout my whole career.
Oh.
Do your rehab, guys, because I had a relapse. I was a teenager, when you don't want to do your rehab as a teenager.
Right.
So
Right.
I missed freshman season in high school, which is again that's like that integral, like really important recruiting time. And because I didn't
Mhm.
do rehab, we were not competing that season. So do the rehab. It's there for a reason. It's monotonous and boring, but please do it. It's going to help you. So
You heard it here first. Do
Goodness.
your rehab.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think what really stood out to me with your story, well, there were a couple things that really stood out to me personally, but the fact that you, at the age of 12, were told, like, "Big dream girl, but that ain't gonna happen."
Yeah.
Good for you. I think
Thank you.
some of the best advice I've ever been given is let the doubters doubt, naysay
Mhm.
the naysayers, and just keep your path. Like, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, gymnastics is such a beautiful sport, but at the same time, I think athletes that are in gymnastics, so gymnasts, are extremely hard on themselves. They don't need the added extra pressure. Like,
Oh
they
gosh,
don't
I'm
need
so
someone
hard.
telling them. Right. They don't need someone telling them, like, "You're not gonna be able to do that." And I honestly think proving people wrong is the best fuel to any fire, and
Oh,
it is amazing to me, like, what people in general can accomplish when they're like, "I will prove you wrong."
mhm. Yeah, and I think it really I would say the fuel too was I was like, "You know what? Let me do this for myself," and
Mhm.
really lean on my support system, which were my parents at the time, because they had my back the entire time. I remember having meetings with coaches, and they're like, "Okay, hey, like, I know you wanna go to UCLA, but what about these schools?" And my parents were like, she wants to go, like, this is her dream. Like, how can you guys help her, like, accomplish
Right.
this? Like, what does she need? Like, what is because I obviously like I was able to make it happen. And I also there
Mhm.
was a girl from my club gym that also went to UCLA, like in the I would say she was on the team like from 97 to 2001, like that era.
Mhm.
And her name was Kristen Stewart. And I was like, I want to be just like you went to
Mhm.
UCLA. And yeah, so I just think again, I think it's important to be real with your athletes, but when they, just like help them accomplish what, I don't know. I just
Right.
feel like there's a more like
There's
a
a
better
way
way
better way
to go
than what
about
your coaches told you, for sure. Like,
it, you know?
here's my thing too. I totally believe in setting huge goals. Like,
Yeah.
get those big goals, but you need a plan. So I
Mhm.
love that your parents were like, "Listen, she really wants to go to UCLA. How are you going to help her get there?" Like, at the end of the day, whether here's the thing too, it's like, even if you didn't go to UCLA, at
Yeah.
least you would have been able to know. Actually, no, you would have gone to UCLA regardless. But if the gymnastics path didn't happen, it's like, I did everything I could. You know
Yeah,
what I
and I
mean?
think that's what I really knew in my heart. I was like, "Listen, let me set myself up in the best way possible to give it my best shot, and if it doesn't work out, then it wasn't my path. But
Mhm.
what if it was? And then if I would have, listened to my coaches and gone elsewhere, like my life wouldn't be what it is right now, like in any way, shape, or form. We would not be on this podcast right now. I don't think, like, I just don't. And it's
Mhm.
crazy to think about that, like if like I'm happy it's not a what if, like, or like,
Mhm.
or what's the saying? Like it's better to be an oh well than a what if. And
Oh.
I'm glad I didn't put myself in a situation like, oh, what if I,
Mhm.
really pushed for it rather than just, settling and listening to what my coaches said at the time. So yeah, no, I was 12 and I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. And so
I'm just gonna go to the bathroom really quick. I'm just
and
gonna
like
go get a drink.
yeah, because you would expect them to be your biggest cheerleaders besides your parents,
Right.
they're supposed
Right.
to set you up for success. So yeah, I always tell people, like, your coaches are there to help you, obviously.
Mhm.
And you know, but yeah, I made best with what I could. So and we just went for it. But yeah, wild. You
That is wild, but I mean, man, the what ifs of life, oof, those are, eh, mm,
want to minimize them, you don't want
as I
to
say, sometimes they just happen and you can't avoid it, but when
yeah.
you have control over, like, for you, you had complete control over your gymnastics, like, you were the one putting in the work, you were the one, so you had control over that, and not only did you make the best of that situation, but you had an end goal and you were like, "I'm going to get here.
Yeah.
Whether you help me or not, like, see this goal over here? Yeah, that's my destination. I will be arriving there at some point." And I think that's so important for any athlete, anybody, even just, I mean, gosh, even the real world, like set goals for yourself always, but
Mhm.
also like make a plan.
And I'm a huge planner, believe me.
Mhm.
I'm so organized and love a plan. And honestly, this was really good for me to hop on this podcast to kind of just relive my story because you said we're so hard on ourselves. And even in my adult life, or even as an analyst, like I'm so hard on
Mhm.
myself. And I think, what it stems from is just I was believing in myself, but still being told like, no, like you
Mhm.
need like still being told no. So when you hear that over and over for like a lot of years, like you start to internally believe it. And it's just kind of
Mhm.
breaking that negative talk cycle. And so it's crazy. This is nice. I love this because it's like JaNay, like I can still
Yes.
do my mind to, and I don't need to create like this agony on myself and be so hard on myself. Like I can do hard things. I've done that before and they've worked out. And knowing if you do put your best foot forward, like your life will lead you where you're meant to go. And so just
Mhm.
go for it. So thank you. You know what? This is great. Just because, yeah, even as an analyst, I'm like, oh, like how could have that been better? Because I
Mhm.
commentated for Pac-12 championships for the very first time in the last Pac-12 championships, and which was huge for me. I remember being like, I just want to be a reporter, like on like the floor. Like I just wanted to be on the team in any way, shape, or form for championships. I didn't care what capacity, but I remember, seeing like Samantha Peshek being a reporter like on the floor, and I was
Mhm.
like, oh, that's what I want to do. But I ended up being an analyst, and I said, wow, way a lot better than I could have ever imagined. And so having my broadcast partner and the producer telling me, "Oh, you did a great job. Like, look how prepared you were, blah, 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 blah." And I'm in here thinking, like, yeah, but how could have that been better? Like, how about
Mhm.
I just celebrate this win and like celebrate this for myself rather than thinking about like just being so hard on myself because
Right.
it's crazy. And I'm like, wow. And but that's a very much a gymnast thing because
Mhm.
we always want to strive for perfection. It's a
Right.
subjective sport and like we have people judging literally we have people judging us and that's what it is and it's a very
Mhm.
individual sport. So I understand where it comes from, but I'm like, dang, JaNay, like we it's fine. Like we're doing great. We don't have to, and you've done it before. So how about we just
Mhm.
lean on our past experience and just roll with it rather than like being so hard on yourself.
I feel like that was the hardest thing for me to understand, like, post gymnastics was, like, basically giving myself grace.
Oh,
Like,
I
you're
don't know why.
not going to be perfect all the time, but you also can't get upset when those little imperfections show up. And it was like, "But I wanna be perfect. I wanna do this." And especially as an analyst, I think you are your biggest critic. I mean,
Oh,
as soon as a broadcast ends, you think about all the thing I think about all the words either
oh,
that I said over and over or the ones that I mispronounced. It's really a
I love that
vicious
we're talking about
cycle.
it. Yeah, it's crazy because 'cause you're like, "I could have
Mhm.
said this sentence better," or like, "I
Yep.
missed this," or "I missed this, and this person caught this," and it's like, how about and then you watch it back and it's not that bad, but you're like, "No, but but I'm, like, nitpicking things." And so it's just I don't know, you're right. Oh, ooh, I love talking to somebody about this. 'Cause I've never been able to talk about talk
Yes.
to
No,
someone about
and
this
that's
because it's relatable or, like, you can relate to it.
mhm. That is so it's crazy to me. I've been working with ESPN. This was my 7th season as an yeah, I know, bananas. And this is the first year that I, like, legitimately felt proud of what I was doing. I was trying like, I tried so hard not to be hard on myself, and I prepared, I did and I basically ended every production meeting, any event, and I was like, "You know what? I did the best that I could. I'm gonna rewatch it." And you're right. Anytime you think that an event did not go well and you rewatch it, you're like, "That wasn't that bad."
Yeah. You're like,
You're like,
"Oh,
"Mm,
that sounded weird, didn't sound that weird." You're like, "Okay, like, this could be better." Um, But yeah, I feel the same way because this was my 6th season with Pac-12, and this was the first time I didn't feel like a rookie, and
Mhm.
I knew how to prep, but your girl started typing her notes. I don't know why, I don't know how I handwrite it.
You were writing your
I was
notes?
I was
Handwriting?
handwriting my notes, like,
Oh,
everything, and I don't know how. And
I
then I was
mean,
like, "You know what, Janae? I don't think that's gonna be feasible at Pac-12 championships,
mm-mm.
so how about we type them out?" So much easier. Color coding and everything, it's amazing. So we
It's
love growth.
amazing what technology will do for you in those in those dark times of literally the amount of notes that you end up taking. Here's the fun fact that really anybody should know. Being an analyst takes a lot of prep. It
Yeah.
takes a ton of prep. We take probably 30 pages of notes. Janae took 60 for Pac-12s, let that be known. And I bet you used
Mm,
10 of them, maybe.
yeah, maybe. And
But
I
it's
knew that.
about like but it's about feeling prepared.
Oh my gosh. I went snowboarding the day before. I was like, I don't even have to go to practice, but I'll go to pick up my credential, because it's like I already talked to all the coaches. The only 2 teams I didn't cover that season was ASU and Oregon State. And so
Mhm.
I just had to set up calls with those coaches. And, I was talking to my broadcast partner, Jimmy, and he's like, "Oh, you can go to practice. Like, you don't have to stay the whole day." I said, "I'm not. Why would I do that?" you know? 'Cause I was already prepared and I had all my notes printed
Mhm.
and, yeah, and it was this season was where I felt like I didn't feel like a rookie, and there were broadcasts where it's like, "Oh, it felt so good,"
Mhm.
and I think what it was too is because it was Pac-12s in the very last one, and it was a little more emotional, especially me competing in the Pac-12, and even coaches like, Jen Llewellyn, who was an Oregon State gymnast, and now she's a head coach at Washington, and she literally realized it was the last one before the team walked out, and she started crying. It was just the energy was very like, wow, like this is the last
Mhm.
time. And so I think all of that was contributing to I need to make this perfect. Like this is the last one, and I
Yeah.
want to do it justice. And it was the new format. So, I think those were all the things that were contributing to, okay, how could have that been better? I know I did good, but can you like help me criticize myself, please? So yeah, but I don't know. That's crazy that I didn't realize it was your 7th season. Wow.
I know. And here's the thing, I didn't even realize it. Like,
It goes
I
by
would say
fast.
mid right, I would say, like, mid-season, I was like, "I've been doing this a long time." And I believe it was Bart I was with Bart Connor, and he was like, "Well, when did you start?" And I told him, and I was like, this is my 7th season." Like, it
Wow.
doesn't feel like that because and I think because gymnastics is such a short window, like, it's basically January to April. Like, it's a
Yeah.
handful of months. I think everybody across the board that is in the television industry and doing gymnastics, like, they have other things going on, so it's like, it didn't feel like it had been that long, but I was very taken back by that. I was like, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah.
I was
I
like, "Am I a veteran? Am
Am I?
am I a well-seasoned veteran now?" Like, it was crazy, and yeah, it's such a wild thing to think about too, and I do have to ask, did you always know that you wanted to get into TV? Like, did you always know that you wanted to get into sports broadcasting?
Yeah. Oh, that's something I forgot to mention in my story. Yeah. So career-wise, I never was the little kid that said I wanted to be this when I grew up, but once I
Mhm,
was in like middle school, high school, I knew I wanted to do something with TV where I was in front of the camera. And I was like, not world news. I was like, that I want something like I'm excited about, that's not so depressing. So I was like, sports. And this is when e-news was very much a thing. So I was like, oh, I'd love to do sports and entertainment. I grew up
mhm,
watching like football and basketball and obviously gymnastics and then entertainment. Like I just loved like red carpet interviews. Like it was really cool to hear stories from either athletes or actors and hearing them be people. Like obviously with their
mhm,
celebrity status, they're put on pedestals, but you realize they're humans as well, and how do they deal with criticism and what do their days look like and how do you know what I'm
mhm.
saying? And I
Oh,
loved
yeah.
like that for myself, and I was like, "Oh, I'd love to help be a storyteller to get these stories out." So yeah, by the time I was in high school and looking at colleges, and I started looking at analysts and reporters like Carrie Champion and MJ Acosta Ruiz, and just women that women to look up to, and just see what they studied in and how they got into it. And I love MJ specifically because she like got started later, but she her dream was to be like an NFL cheerleader first, and she was older. And that's like kind of how I feel now, because I'm doing this dance journey as a 28-year-old, and she didn't make the NFL cheer team until she was 28, and you're with like 20-year-olds.
Mhm.
And then she was also able to, like now she's working for the NFL network. And I'm like, oh my God, like
Mhm.
I can do both. So um
Yes, you can.
like finding women to look up to, because again, like women in sports, we're finally able to, like we have a seat at the table and we can know what we're talking about, because it for a long time it was a very like male dominated
Mhm.
um profession. So
Mhm.
yeah, and so I was like, "Ooh, what did Carrie Champion major in?" She majored in English. Okay, cool, because UCLA didn't have journalism or broadcasting, but of course USC did, and I was like, it's just like your rivals always gotta have what what you want. So I majored in English, because I thought it was the closest thing to journalism to get my writing skills up to par, which is ironic because I did not like English at all growing up. I hated English so much. So I ended up majoring in it. And yeah, but so I knew I wanted to do something with TV and I wanted to be in front of the camera. And you can ask Miss Val, like coming in as a freshman, I was very quiet, like did not speak up. And they were like, "You want to do what?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to be I want to be like a sports reporter." And they're like, "You should learn how to speak." And so it was nice too, because as athletes, we had a lot of interviews that we had to do. And so Miss Val did her version of media training with team challenges, like public speaking challenges, and we had to speak on a topic, and we had to use three SAT words. We couldn't say like, we couldn't say and we had to speak eloquently, and just yeah, so things like that to help us kind of speak in front of people. My favorite class at UCLA to this day was communications one, which was public speaking, which is
Mhm.
people's biggest fear. And so once, your girl was growing, we did the whole college transition. And once I became an upperclassman and, really finding my voice and finding how I um, can help, lead people, like my leadership style and stuff like that. And I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I can do this, and it's crazy looking back on, like Bruin banter and just all
I
the
love
little
it.
things I would do to get any experience I could. But yeah, so that's how I got started, or like that's kind of what helped me like pave the way, or like how can I get into this. So it's been a wild journey for sure.
I love that, and I love that Miss Val had you do those things because not only did those things help you just with public speaking in general, I'm sure as a group, as a team, but
Mhm.
that hones in on your interview skills, which as an athlete is so important. Like, I can't emphasize enough how many times I've always been social, I've always loved being in front of the camera, like, I've always loved that, and I'm very thankful, like, again, like you said, my public speaking class was one of my favorite classes.
Oh, yeah, it was so much fun. And
Well,
people
I think
never understand that, but I'm like, "No, it was so much fun."
right, and I also think it's because it's like, at the end of the day, I just remember and again, this was a long time ago, obviously, when I was in college, but I just recall, like, walking into the classroom and just being pumped. Like, I was super excited about whatever we were gonna do. Anytime
Mhm.
we had a speech, I was always like, "Let's do this." It was like,
Yeah.
"Does anybody wanna volunteer?" And I was literally the one that was like, "Me, pick me."
I'm ready, I'm here, yeah.
Always, always. So and I do think that's so important, not only again and also it transfers over to interview skills,
Yes. And just oh
which
gosh, and it's important for what we're in too. We're just like think
yes.
not just the basic, surface level questions that are obvious, like what are those good
Mhm.
questions? And sometimes it's hard because you gotta think of them on the spot. Like sometimes you don't know who you're interviewing and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna do this person." You're like, okay." And then you really
I know,
gotta
you're like, "Alright."
And you gotta think quick on your feet, and sometimes, you can have all these questions set up, and then you end up, like, not even using them, or you end up interviewing someone completely different, and you're like,
Right.
"Okay." And you gotta adjust quickly because you got 90 seconds before we come back from commercial, so it's like it's really but it's so fun too, and I just love
Mhm.
um I love every part of it. I don't know. I love like being a part of a team, and I, always make an effort to thank, the production team and and the
Mhm.
um, the PAs and everyone. And and you can tell it makes their day too, because like this wouldn't happen without y'all. So I always
Right.
make a point to be very thankful to everybody as I'm leaving, because yeah, it's not just about the talent, it's about everybody. And I think about that too, just with like movies, and just like like it's a whole
Oh,
thing.
yeah. It takes a village. It literally takes a village. It's insane to like, if someone from the street were to walk into the production truck, it would be like I don't really know what they would be thinking because even I walk into the production truck sometimes and I'm like,
Wow.
"Wow."
And there's just so many screens, and then there's just
Mhm.
and I don't even know how they put graphics together so quickly. Like, "Oh, we're just
Oh,
getting
me
this
either.
here," and I'm like, "What?
Me either.
How are you even doing that?"
Mhm.
"Yeah, we'll have it ready in 90." How? It's so cool. It's so cool.
They are masters of their craft, no doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, so you spoke about this briefly, but you just came back from Pac-12 championships.
Yes, 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 yes. It was in
Let's
you.
get into it because it was wild.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, not only was it like this emotional thing because it was the last one, but it was wild. It just and I think all of us kind of left a little indifferent because it was just like, wow, okay, this is the last time. And wow, like a lot of things
Mhm.
happening. Wow, it was just a lot of, yeah, let's talk about it. I don't know. Do you want
I mean, the biggest thing obviously I'm a huge Cal fan. Like
Oh, good.
I do. I do. I'm allowed to
Yeah,
say that. This is my podcast. I'm allowed to say that. I'm
absolutely.
also I'm also a huge Selena Harris fan.
She is
I
so
adore her. I
same.
l I love her gymnastics. I'll never forget last year at NCAA's, UCLA did not end up moving on,
Hmm.
and it was really hard, and I think what I was so impressed by her was she took that and, like, oh, that started a flame. The fire was starting of like, I am going to work my tail off and make sure that we are in the mix next year. And I feel
Yeah.
like I could see it and I was like, "Ooh, ooh, next year. I'm excited for you."
Yeah, and she always has that she's always had that competitive fire
Yes.
even as a freshman, and I remember interviewing her, for, like, a media day, and I was like, "Do you get nervous?" And she's like, "No, I've never gotten nervous during competing," which is not always unheard of, but as a freshman with all the transition into college, usually, there's a little transition period where
Right.
you're like, "Whoa, this is all new," and, like, I'm a part of a team, gymnastics is a very
Mhm.
individual sport, but she loves competing, and just that's why she's able to she's just so consistent, and you know what you're gonna get from her every weekend, and just to see that from a freshman is really refreshing. No,
Mhm.
I love her gymnastics too. It's just sometimes I feel like I don't even need to speak during her routines because it's just I'm gonna say the same thing every time. Like I don't know, like it's so amazing, and just for her to even just switch up her first e pass. She did a full in last year and just decided to do a double A this year. She has so many skills behind, like in her back pocket, and um yeah, like also very humble too, just even getting
Mhm.
she's so sweet, she's so cute. Like it's amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then Cal, even just watching them, because I covered them yeah, like in my earlier years, working for Pac-12, and just seeing them
Mhm.
elevate every single year and just get better and better. And then they were killing it on bars and killing it on beam. And then last year, did they finish 7th? I can't remember, but, like, they had made it almost the whole way before, like, they didn't make it to the Final Four, correct? So,
They
um
messed up bars. It was so
no,
upsetting. I was
and they
so
were so
sad.
good, and, like,
Mhm.
um, covering them this year, you could just see the confidence
Yeah.
from the beginning. Like, they were so consistent, and, um, they scored their top 3 scores in school history just this year alone, like, well into the
Wow.
198s and you're like, "Oh, Cal." So all of it, like, obviously Cal was the favorite and, and then, we were talking about, like, the top teams, like Oklahoma has always been the team to beat, and so to see them in
Mhm.
that 2 and 3 spot, insane Oklahoma. Like, I think, they're seeing, like, the other teams hitting, like, the 198 fives, and Oklahoma's like, "Oh, no, like, we we must do better." Like, I just because 198.9 is insane. Like, I didn't even think
Mhm.
getting close to a 199 was even possible. Like, but they're
Yeah.
finding a way somehow. And so to see Cal elevate in this way that they never have before, they were
Mhm.
definitely the favorite. And I feel like we were all like, oh, there's a hummingbird. Sorry, I've never seen this before. I was like, I was like, I have to say something. I've never seen it in the balcony. Anyways, yeah. So just to see them like, it was just so cool to see. I'm like, "Guys, y'all have wanted this for so long, and to see it come to
Mhm.
fruition, and they've worked so hard," and, um, they're getting, like, yeah, 49 eights on bar like, they're just getting these insane scores, and then
Mhm.
Pac-12s, and, like, obviously, sometimes vault, it's hard to start on vault because, you're getting
Mhm.
a little bit of that, like, tighter scoring because you're all competing on the same. That's why I'm excited for nationals because 'cause I'm like, I would love if there's a 198.9 at nationals, like, but you
I don't
said
wanna say that
this
there's no way because there is a way.
yeah,
There
because you
is
said
a way.
nationals is definitely giving that, so even with 6 judges, like,
Mhm.
that's I just wanna be on the fly on the wall. I just wanna see what they do in practice. I would just love to know they're so good. It's insane.
Mhm.
Yeah, so come Pac-12s, they're obviously the favorite. We talked about them in the open, like they were the team to beat. And UCLA, we knew their potential, their 198 potential, but they had been inconsistent all year. Like usually UCLA
Mhm.
on that steady incline, and they peak
Right.
at the right time, but UCLA was doing this all season. And I would say Utah was consistent in like that 197, like in like higher 197 range, but they also
Mhm.
were wanting to put like a full meet together with like all 6 routines hitting, rather than
Right.
not just dropping a fall, but like let's drop a 985, let's drop a 99 kind of thing. Cause
Right.
those are the scores you have to get when you come to
Mhm.
nationals, go up
Oh,
against.
100%.
Um,
100%.
yeah, and then just seeing OU go into and even Stanford, like Stanford had a rough start to the season, so many injuries and sicknesses, and then we covered them when they went against Cal, and Stanford almost went 198, and then that's when Cal hit a 198.55, and when you do like a really good broadcast, like I remember sometimes like the meat is really good and the broadcast isn't that great, or sometimes the
Mhm.
broadcast is great but the meat isn't that great. But
Right.
when both line up, it is the best thing. I was like, this is the best meet I've ever done in my life. Like it was just because Stanford had been struggling, and so we're like, okay, we know Cal is going to do what they do. They're going to hit their 198 because that's what they've been doing all season. Let's just hope Stanford, like we just want them to get a 197. Like let's not have them get blown out. And then they
Mhm.
Stanford gets on beam and Cal's on floor, and then obviously they flip, and it's just back to back 99s, and we're like, what is going on? Like, and so we're seeing the potential of Stanford, but like later. And so they almost got into the night session, but they needed like one more score for them. So
Mhm.
OSU got into the night session. And the meet started and they went out with the bang with like a 49.5 like floor. Like Jade
Oh,
got it
wow.
and just, and it's hard to get those perfect scores when there's like more judges.
Mhm.
I think there's 4 judges in, the conference championships. Once you get to nationals, there's 6. I don't know about
Right.
regionals though. Is regionals 4? I don't know.
I think it's 4. I'm
Okay.
confident it's 4, and then, yeah, for and that's the biggest difference is during postseason, they add judges.
Mhm.
So, in a regular dual meet, you just have 2 judges, and they average they if one judge gives you a 10 and the other one gives you a 9.9, your score is a 9.95. But
Mhm.
I think that's what makes the difficulty of getting that perfect score so much. I mean, it's just so much harder to get it in postseason because you have more
Aggressive.
judges, so you have more eyes on you.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's so impressive when you do see those perfect 10s at nationals. So,
Mhm.
like, when Aang got the perfect 10 or, like, when I don't know if Miley O'Keefe just when you see those perfect 10s
Right.
in nationals, you're like, that means all 6 judges, like, didn't see anything or, like, maybe if one because I think you dropped the
You drop
highest.
the high, yeah, drop the high, drop the low, and then you average the remaining 4. So if you had 4 tens.
That means there was nothing. There was nothing to take. So yeah, so the meet was starting and just Cal just we weren't seeing the Cal that we had seen
Yeah.
all season and it was really sad to watch them because again like they were the favorite and then they started on bars and then they didn't have the greatest rotation and I think it was like a 49-1-7-5 but you can most definitely make that up like they
Mhm.
were before and then it just the hole just got deeper and deeper um, and then, there were falls from gymnasts that we had never seen fall ever. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think one, it's not over. They have regionals and nationals, but I think, you know, for it to be the last Pac-12 championships, it was like their time, but they won it outright for the regular season. But
Mhm.
so it's tough to see like when you have
Yeah.
the favorite of like the favorite going into a meet and then seeing just more uncharacteristic things happen and it's just like dang okay but so
Mhm. That is
but
post-season for ya. Those
yeah
uncharacteristic mistakes can sometimes pop up, but to be honest, it's almost like get it out now. Like,
yeah like it's
you
not over.
right, right, and I mean, okay, here's a really loaded question for you.
Oh,
Who who is in your top 8 to go
oh
to nationals?
okay ooh okay well I'm like okay so
Mhm.
top 8.
Yep.
1 second. Okay, Oklahoma.
Okay.
um LSU, Cal, Utah. I'm gonna put Michigan State in there. I'm at 5, top 8.
Mhm.
This is hard, this is loaded.
I
Um,
know.
who I don't even know, like, who you see did I say UCLA already? I don't think I did.
Um, I don't
No,
think
I
you
don't think so.
did.
UCLA. I have 2
Okay.
lefts.
Mhm.
Um, no, because I remember, like, Michigan State, they're killing it, and I love that they're
Mhm.
killing it. Gosh, who else is and this is the thing, I was like, "Oh, this is probably the hardest question because 'cause I'm like, who else is in the because when you cover we talked about this right before, when you cover
Yes.
your conference and you only know what's happening in your conference,
So
else
so
is
here are some
who else is
schools
in
that
this
you're missing in the SEC right now. You've got Alabama, you've
okay.
got Florida, you've
Mm,
got Michigan, you've
okay.
got oh, wait, now I'm starting to confuse myself.
Right?
Oh, Denver. Oh my
Denver.
gosh.
I'll put Denver. Denver is in
Denver
there.
looked really good at Big 12s. They looked
Like, I'll put
really
Denver. I was
good.
like, "Who else is" yeah, Denver, and then, yeah, I'll say because who Florida?
I mean, that
Mm,
could be one of them.
yeah, I'll put
Or
Florida.
Alabama. Ooh,
Yeah,
Alabama's
that's tough.
looking pretty good too.
I know, I'm like, So, we'll put them in a tie. But, yeah,
Oh,
Denver
okay.
too. Yeah, that's what I'll say is my,
Mhm.
8 for sure.
I think
Um,
that's what makes like, I think regionals is going to be the toughest competition for some teams because there is just so much talent in the
oh
NCAA right now.
my goodness. And I've loved seeing the gymnastics elevate in a way. Like the gymnastics is just so good.
Mhm.
Just it's so good and it's not just like the artistry and even just like everything about it has been so fun to watch. And even I love that some teams have because like the floor routines, like some do the 2 passes, but I love
Mhm.
still seeing that the gymnasts that are keeping like those E skills, the E
Mhm.
passes there and doing the 2, or even some that are just still doing 3 passes. So I love that even with some teams cracking the code and like, because it's hard on your body. I totally get it, but I love
Oh,
still
yeah.
seeing the hard tumbling passes being done. It's just, oh my gosh, yeah. And I don't even, because there's four. Is there four regionals? I
Yes,
know.
4
Yeah,
regionals and the top 2.
Florida, Arkansas, Cal. What's the fourth one? I don't even know.
Hold on. Is there one in Michigan? I think
Oh,
I
is it
think Ann
Michigan?
Arbor. I think
Okay.
so. I could be wrong, but I think so.
I'm getting the fourth one because I knew it was, yeah, I knew it was Florida, I knew it was Arkansas, I knew it was
Mhm.
Cal. I'm like, where's the fourth one at?
I'm pretty
Yeah,
I'm
it's
pretty
gonna be
sure it's in Ann Arbor,
okay.
I
No,
think.
it's gonna be crazy. And oh,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't and yeah, they
Aren't you
take
so happy to be retired?
yes, I really am. I just because yeah, because I think um even the vault rule change I think happened after I left. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote
I
me on
know
that.
for me, it definitely was after I left, but that was
Mhm.
I mean, I graduated in 2016, which was a little, while ago.
It's like 2016. Oh wow, that was only I was only 2 years after you? Did you say
Yeah,
20?
yeah,
Wow.
I graduated in 2016.
Oh my gosh. But did
Isn't
you
that
take a 5th
crazy?
year?
Oh gosh, no. Are you kidding? No, no, no. I
Wow.
started later. So
There we
I took a year off before like, I took a gap year before
go. Got you. Okay,
starting my
okay.
freshman year, so I mean, I was older. I was already older in high school because of my birthday, and then I was older, obviously, starting college because I took that year off, so I was definitely older, which I'm so thankful for. But yeah, I mean, man, when did the 995 start on a year chain go full?
Yeah, I'm really trying to think about it. But maybe I remember talking to my former teammates and we were like, "Oh, we would definitely still do a full. You want me to upgrade?" But maybe it did because I do remember Kyla Ross. She learned
Mhm.
in 1.5 and she could only do fulls and doubles. And so her learning in 1.5 was a journey, but she sure figured it out. So maybe I still was in school.
Naturally.
Yeah,
Okay.
naturally. I like she's like, "Guys, no, I can only do a double," and she figured it out. I will never forget her trying to, like, learn, and she kept opening up and just
Oh
having
my
no idea
gosh.
where she was, but she killed it naturally because it is
I was about to
Kyla
say,
Kyla
o
Boss.
only Kyla would be like, "I can only do a full or a double. I'm so sorry." Where the rest of us are like, "My
Oh,
layouts are really good.
yeah,
My
I could
timers my timers are excellent."
I love a good vault timer. Honestly, that was my favorite part of vault were the timers and
Oh
just
my
seeing
gosh.
how hard I can slam on the mat on my back. And just knowing, oh, this layout is gonna be great. I just loved judging like how my vaults were gonna be from my timers. Like
Wow. We were not the same people. So for those listening, a timer is literally what you would do like your warm-up vault. So, like, you would do a back handspring and get, like, a really high block, or I would always do, like, tucks, like, that was my timer, like a tuck, like Yurchenko
mm,
tuck, and then I did not base it off of, like, is it gonna be a good vault day? Mine was like, if I can get down the runway in a quick fashion, it's gonna be a good vault day.
it'd be great.
That's how I knew. That's how I knew.
That
Oh
is
my gosh.
I love it. Yeah, it's fun looking back. I don't know how I did the sport because I'll watch gymnastics now and I'm like, how did I do this? Giants, thinking about giants right now, my shoulders. Oh,
I
it's
know,
just
but
like
that's because you can do hard things. That's why. That's how you did it, because you can do hard things.
we can absolutely do hard things.
Oh my gosh. Well, Janae, is there anything else you would like the people of the Flipping Out podcast to know about you?
Hmm. No, I think we covered everything. Yeah, because you said I do broadcasting and I do dance, and those are like
Mhm.
my main top things that I'm focused on right now. And it's just been really fun to not start from ground zero, but like
Mhm.
being an expert in your sport or like reaching a level in your sport and being competing at the highest level and then going to dance and you're like, oh my goodness, like these people have
Mhm.
danced for the amount of years I did gymnastics. Not
Right.
saying I started late and didn't know anything, but just kind of um being in that space again. And my mentor, I got accepted into a mentorship and he reminds me a lot of Miss Val. And he
Oh, congratulations.
he grew up with BJ, so the choreographer for UCLA Gymnastics,
Mhm.
because they have, they dance for the biggest artists and stuff like that. And they grew up together. And so he has that very intentional but intense approach that Miss Val had, but like in it that comes from like a loving way though to help you
Mhm.
reach your potential. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to train under this person because this is how I'm going to reach my big goals in dance. So
Yes,
there's
you are.
big goals. But yeah, so no, we covered everything. Thank you for having me and allowing me to tell my story and talk about gymnastics. This was so much fun. I need to talk to analysts more because oh my goodness, this was just such a fun time just to discuss like what we go through or like the things that
Mhm.
we see and just the whole process and the prep. And this was so much fun. I would love to come back and then, you know.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. So thank
Thank
you.
you for having me.
That wraps up today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed and be sure to tune in every week because we will be dropping new episodes. Again, this is Flipping Out with Bridget Sloan, and I am your host, Bridget Sloan. So please like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. Let's make some good life choices out there and let's have a great day, y'all. Bye, guys.